Do you notice that building down there? It looks pretty boring though. Let us reveal something shocking about this seemingly ordinary piece of building to you. Interestingly, this structure is sitting on top of more gold than anywhere else in the world right now. It may appear mysterious, but you are unlikely to think that it contains $420 billion in gold, which is sufficient to keep the American economy afloat. That is correct. However, the concerns that require our attention are: how can this building help safeguard America from becoming bankrupt? Furthermore, how can anyone picture a gold-filled structure in the heart of one of the world's busiest cities? In this video, we'll find out the answer to these questions. Now, before we start, it is critical to comprehend the concept of a bank run to completely appreciate the significance of having an underground vault. Let us illustrate this with an example. You deposit money at a bank for two reasons. First, it's safe. Nobody can steal your money since banks are much safer than residences. Second, you get interest. Now, what would you do if you were informed that the financial system is no longer secure? You'd leave everything in the first place and then rush to withdraw your funds, right? When everyone does this all at the same time, you call it a bank run. This might result in an unprecedented breakdown of the financial system. This is where the vault feels the need. We're talking about none other than the average-looking yet most expensive building in the world, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York's Gold Vault. It is home to approximately 6,000 tons of gold and acts as a solid backbone in protecting the US dollar. In case of any financial instability, it makes sure that the economic future of America is in safe hands. But developing such an enormous gold-filled structure in the middle of New York City was not a piece of cake. The story started when Congress established the Federal Reserve Sector in 1913, intending to stabilize the American financial sector, which frequently experienced panics in the 19th century. These incidents, which included bank runs and failures, were linked to an inelastic currency system. Since the system's inception in the 1860s, the majority of currency has been created by national banks tied to US government bonds, making supply insensitive to the public's demand variations, especially when an unexpected event or announcement caused bank customers to be concerned about the security of their assets and run to the bank to withdraw cash. That was the time when the reformers worked on strategies to quickly increase the availability of notes to fulfill the public's need for stability. Concluding the narrative here, generating the need for elastic money was eventually accomplished with the establishment of the Federal Reserve and a new currency form, the Federal Reserve Note. These notes are currently the most common type of currency in the United States, and they are supplied in sufficient quantities to meet the demand. So, in general, the Federal Reserve System was founded to enhance the movement of money and credit throughout the United States to guarantee that banks had the resources to service the demands of their clients in all parts of the country. Here comes the most remarkable part though, the construction of this massive underground vault, which is undeniably an engineering marvel. Was it easy for them to construct such a secure facility 80 feet below street level and 50 feet below sea level? The answer is unequivocally no. The construction of the Federal Reserve Bank 33 Liberty Street building and basement began in 1921 and took 3 years to finish. Given the project's requirement for exceptionally deep basement drilling, the existence of irregular Manhattan bedrock, which was first revealed at a depth of 87 feet at the southwest corner of the Liberty and Nassau streets, hindered the construction. Considering the structure's basis, the lowest basement depth could not be less than about 80 feet. Apart from this part, the basement structure has to accommodate the reality that Manhattan is an island and the lowest basement is below the tidewater level. For that reason, the basement vessel was built with reinforced concrete, which is a metal-concrete combination. In the current scenario, steel is used as reinforcement. According to the 1921 annual report of the New York Federal Reserve, the construction of the foundation is considered to be one of the most difficult and exacting pieces of foundation engineering ever undertaken. After the basement excavation was complete, the triple-tiered vault was lifted into place. These 3 layered vault structures are known as basement levels C, D, and E respectively. The Federal Reserve used to hold stocks on level C, cash on level D, and gold bars and coins in the deepest level of this ultimate gold vault, called level E. And guess what? It's still the same today. Did you know that the main gold vault located on the basement E level spans roughly half the length of a football field? That's amazing, right? This also demonstrates that a special vault requires special protection too. You would be amazed to know that the main gold vault entry does not have a normal vault door. Instead, the vault entrance is guarded by a 90-ton steel cylinder rotating within a 140-ton steel and concrete ring. The cylinder rotates 90 degrees to allow the passageway and can be rotated back to completely shut the entrance. In addition, the vault is surrounded by a 4-foot wide passageway with reinforced concrete walls. Moreover, there are 122 compartments within that keep gold bars on behalf of 36 other countries, as well as a Liberty compartment that stores gold from various international central banks. It is to be said by the old reports from the 1960s that there were 96 compartments initially, and some of them have been subdivided throughout time. Surprisingly, 0% of the precious gold in the depository belongs to the New York Fed or Federal Reserve System. The New York Fed serves only as a protector and administrator of gold on behalf of various account holders, such as the United States government, foreign governments, other central banks, and formal international organizations. No individuals or private sector entities are allowed to deposit gold in the vault. The New York's Fed Gold Vault, which was built during and after World War II, reached its height in 1973, with more than 12,000 tons of monetary gold. The vault, which currently holds around 507,000 gold bars, weighing a total of 6,331 metric tons, remains the world's largest monetary gold repository. Keep in mind that the vault is located 80 feet below street level and 50 feet under the surface on rock foundations, providing the highest level of safety. Well, we believe that you'll agree it's the most secure spot in the world without a second thought. Also, the New York Feds employ strong security procedures to protect the privacy and authenticity of the gold housed in its vault. Did you know that the Federal Reserve, Fed, is the largest and most influential financial organization in the United States? It determines interest rates, controls the money supply, and oversees financial markets. It serves as a last resort borrower during recessions such as the 9/11 incident, the 2008 financial crisis, and the COVID-19 pandemic. The New York Fed kept running when the nearby World Trade Center collapsed in 2001 as a result of the September 11 attacks. That's right, following the assault, there was a brief evacuation of the building due to concerns that One Liberty Plaza, which was close, might collapse. The Federal Reserve used its facilities to help first responders at the World Trade Center site for several weeks following the attacks. Although dust from the World Trade Center's fall settled on the exterior, the building was unharmed during the attacks and went under renovation between 2007 and 2008. At the beginning of 2020, the epidemic caused considerable global economic disruption to this historic building as well, causing the Fed to adopt emergency steps such as reducing interest rates to zero and enacting market support measures. Despite a rapid economic rebuild fueled by aggressive Fed policy and fiscal stimulus, high inflation rates occurred as a result of a variety of reasons, including supply chain disruptions and rising global oil prices. The Federal Reserve responded by raising interest rates, signifying a change away from the previously held notion that inflation was temporary. The impact of the Fed's policies went behind the United States, pushing other central banks to raise interest rates as well. This global tightening generated market turbulence, as seen in Japan when a currency bet collapsed, causing stock indices to fall. Currently, the Fed is responsible for directing U.S. monetary policy, supervising bank holding companies and other member institutions, and monitoring systemic risk in the financial sector. With their fingers in many financial pies, one could argue that they are the money lords of the United States. It's not an easy task to prevent your state from a bank run. However, it seems that the US Fed has got this magical ability to keep it moving smoothly. Here is how they keep it. First, it's done by knowing the exact essence of how to win the people's vote of confidentiality in terms of keeping their valuable assets secure. This leads to minimal chances of people panicking and moving out their cash all at once. Second, the interest rates. With the help of interest rates, the Fed plays with the people's minds when the interest rates are high or low. For example, if the rate is high, they would encourage you to save, and if the rate is low, they'd request you to spend. This is how they're directing the motion of funds. We have discussed earlier about how a bank acts as a last resort borrower in terms of crises. Well, that is our third point about how the Fed is preventing a US bank run, called the lender of the last resort concept. A lender of last resort is someone you seek out when you desperately need money and have exhausted all other possibilities. Banks generally turn to their lender of last resort when they're unable to obtain the money they require for their everyday operations. Furthermore, the Federal Reserve is in charge of establishing all bank laws and regulations. This is our fourth element, and it means that the banks are constantly checked with these guidelines so that they can avoid being involved in any risky behavior or falling into the situation of a collapse or economic emergency. To put it simply, the Federal Reserve Bank monitors the country's economic position around the clock. They act as a tremendous weapon for promoting and securing economic stability, ensuring that no bank run occurs. Well, if you want to see yourself as a billionaire for a day, you can do that by giving yourself a tour of this giant and world's most secure gold vault. The New York Fed actually arranges public guided tours of the main gold vault every day, just like all other sizable central bank gold vaults. These tours, which include a visit to the New York Fed Museum, are fully booked, sometimes many months in advance, and so, for that purpose, you need to make a reservation early. This is all about the safest location on Earth, which is also, paradoxically, located in the center of the busiest metropolis on Earth. That is undoubtedly a brave challenge to accept. What are your impressions of this incredible gold vault adventure? Do you believe that it will continue to be the safest place on Earth and that it will stop the US from going bankrupt? What do you think? Tell us in the space provided for the comments below. Additionally, to make sure you don't miss the next video, please ring the bell symbol and click the subscribe button if you found this one interesting. Remember, discuss this with your friends and family to get their thoughts on the matter as well. See you next time.